Hey guys, this is the new strategy I've been promising and working on with actually two members. They've kind of put their heads together and brought me on board actually. So this is what's will come out of that. Um, Basically, and I want to go through it and show you the rules and stuff. And what we'll do is we'll once the chat room gets up and running, which hopefully will be late next week, mid to late next week. Um, we'll discuss this more, as a group, ways to improve on it. Guys can let everybody know, let the room know when there's on different pairs, different trades setting up, that sort of thing. So we'll start with this strategy, and then I'm sure we'll move on to the other ones, some swing trades, some 15-minute chart trades, that kind of thing. So this is a range chart. This is a 3-minute range chart. So you'll have to set that up. And I've written out the rules. Okay. Rule number one, as usual, is we want price to be moving. Okay, we don't want it, and we can see that pretty easy in the range charts. So, we want to make sure that there's some real sine wave action, up and down, before we even consider a trade. And this will take a bit of patience and practice to spot, but it's very, very, very important. We're going to use a 50 EMA and a 110 EMA. And we see that here. So the red is the 50, the blue is the 110. The red's got to be on top of the blue for to go long, vice versa for a short. Okay, and price has got to be above the EMAs for a long, below for a short. The ideal entry is when price kind of pulls back to the EMAs, and then the MACD crosses, and that's when we can enter. And I'll show you a bunch of examples here. And the last kind of rule is the MACD, when they cross, it has to be below the zero line for a long and above the zero line for a short. And we'll go through those examples now. So this is today, April 20th, and we had 3 trades right in a row, which is quite unique, but they happened. So what we want to have and make sure is that the two EMAs have some distance between them. We don't want them really tight, close together. So that's happening here. And the ideal is we've got some movement. We've got some, that sine wave, up, down. We can see that. And we see price pulls back into the 50 and then bounces off the 50 with giving coinciding with a cross of the MACDs. And this is a 2-line MACD, and I've included this in the email that I've sent everyone. So, and you can get this in the download section on the blog as well, if you're just if you're not a member, quote unquote, and haven't signed up for my mailing list. So if you don't have this 2-line MACD, you've got it in your email. Okay, so we've got this cross below the yellow zero line here. Okay, I've marked that off. And we've got to bounce off the 50. And up we go. Okay, and we put our stop. Let me grab this trend line here. And we put our stop just below this swing low here. And as far as targets, that'll vary. Each guy's going to be a little different. You want 10 pips a trade. You want 1-to-1 risk reward ratio here. So if we're getting in at let's say 10 and our stops, what's that, 1, let's call it 10, so 10 for 10, right? So you'd get your 10 pips there. There's probably about 15 available, and so that's trade number 1 we would have taken. And again, another setup shortly after that. Comes down into the 50, bounces off, we get a cross. Like, these two things have to happen at the same time. Okay, so we've got it comes into the 50, great. And then we look to the MACD. Is it below the zero line? Yes. Has it crossed? Yes. Now we can go long. And that's 26 pips there. But again, we could get out here at this swing high, this previous swing high, use that as an exit. Okay, and then we have a third one here. Same thing. Price, has a nice move up, nice move down, touches the 50. What happens now? We look at the MACD. Is it below the zero line? Yes. Is it crossing below the zero line? Yes. Great. Now we can go long. And again, carry on. Now, it doesn't always have to be the 50. It can come down and touch the 110 as well, or anywhere kind of in between. That's why we'd like to see this space between the 50 and the 110, or the red and the blue, quite wide. Okay. In other words, we don't want, we don't want this. Okay, too little space here. We'd rather have it, reasonable space. What's reasonable? I don't know. That's tough to measure. It's kind of an eyeball thing, and we'll get used to that. What makes sense. So that was on the euro yen, and here's just pound dollar. Again, here we have a nice move down. This is kind of a narrow range for the 50 and the 110. You could have taken it would have worked great, but I might not have been in this one because of that. Okay, this one would be more attractive to me because it's got a nice move down. The 50 and the 110 are spread apart a little bit more, and we would have got in. Now on this one, let's see, we got in here, and our stop would be below this swing low here. That'd be, let's say, 8-9 pips. We just about got stopped out on this candle here, and then it carried on. It went in our favor. And if it did get stopped out, that's fine. I mean, that's life, but we want to keep it, a reasonable amount. 8-9 pips below our entry, which would be below this swing low here. So that's a reasonable risk for this trade. Now the MACD settings, they'll be different, and we've kind of messed around with a bunch of settings. We've tried, write these down here. We've tried the 488, 485, and 816.5. So, which one to use? I don't want to just say take your pick, but one will give you a little earlier signal, and what we were talking about is maybe stacking, a couple of MACDs and having an 816.5 and a 488, and when they both line up, then enter. So, but just to give you an idea, those are the settings you can use, and they all work pretty well. So, give those a whirl. Okay, so let's see, that was the pound. Okay, here's a good example of the euro dollar. Now, again, this is 485 is the MACD on this chart. We see a nice move down here. Now on this one, it meets one of the criteria in that the MACD is below the signal or the zero line, and then it crosses while it's below it. But we're not touching the 50, or in this kind of area between the 50 and the 110. So this wouldn't be a trade. Now this one, we touch the 50, and we're still waiting for the MACD to cross below. Keeps coming down, still within that range, and it's quite wide, which we like. And then it finally does cross the zero line, or the MACD crosses, and it is below the zero line. So let's say we get in here, there's 10 pips there. If we pull back, we can take another 18, or probably another 8, so to this swing high here, if that's what we were after. Okay, so this is still a valid entry. I just wanted to show you that as an example that, when this, it might break through the 50. It's not always going to bounce off the 50, but as long as it stays above between the 50 and the 110, then we're okay. And then again, this trade here, here's another nice setup. So it breaks through, still in between, nice wide area between the red and the blue, 50 and the 110. Our MACD is below the 0 line. It crosses while it's below the 0 line, and then up it goes. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Put this as a 3 range, oops, not the number sign, 3 range chart that we've been looking at. All these charts that we were looking at were 3 range charts. And just the only thing different was the MACD was a little different for each one. So, but you can see they all gave some winning trades, even with the different MACD. So it's important to recognize though that it's got to be below the 0 line, and then wait for that. Be patient and wait for some real movement, and that movement will also be dictated and will spread these two moving averages apart as well. So that's another way to know you're in some movement. So I think that's about it, guys, for this strategy. I will keep an eye on the blog, and I'll be emailing you, letting you know what's going on with the chat room as well. And thanks for everybody's comments. I appreciate them, good, bad, and different. All of them. I do appreciate them. And I guess that's it. We'll talk to you soon. See ya.